Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's CMA session for the Pikes Peak Multiple Listing Service. My name is Jay Myers, Senior Trainer for MarketLink's CoreLogic. And if you are one of the folks that attended the mass trainings, you probably remember seeing me up there. If not, well, we've got some good training coming up in the webinars in the next couple of days, so we hope you're attending some more of those. Our session today is scheduled to run approximately 1 hour. Give or take. And as you're viewing on the screen right now, kind of my little quick tips for a better webinar PowerPoint. First of all, if you're not hearing me very well, there's probably one of two reasons. Either your speakers are turned off or muted, or your volume is down too low, so please adjust those accordingly. You are muted by design. That simply means that you will not be able to talk with me during the webinar today. That would not be wise considering the number of people that get on these sessions. With all the background noise, it would be very hard to hear anything. So you are muted by design. If you would like to ask a question today, though, as you probably noticed, there's a small toolbar somewhere on the right-hand side of your monitors right now. That toolbar has a little chat area, and if you would like to ask a question there, just simply open up the question pane and type the question in there. I will check those questions so often throughout the presentation today and answer them accordingly. Please try to keep your questions pertinent to what we're discussing, and if you can hold them to the end, that would be even better, because then we can just kind of clean them all up at the end very quickly. And sometimes I'll go ahead and answer the question in the course of the webinar, so sometimes it's better just to kind of wait on them, if you will. So again, that little question pane is your vehicle to communicate with us today. So we're talking CMA today, aren't we? Yes, we are. CMA. Well, first of all, before we do the CMA, I just want to remind you of all of the resources that you have available to you on the pikespeakrsc.com website under the Conversion Headquarters link. You will clearly see that they have posted a lot of information there. Of course, the entire webinar schedule is posted there. We've got a Prospecting and Client Gateway webinar this afternoon, along with Thursday, Friday, and Monday. Some more CMA webinars, a search webinar tomorrow, and an ad edit webinar on Wednesday and Monday. So if you'd like to register for any more of these, please remember you have to register individually for these. One registration does not fit all, and you will get a unique ID for that and your confirmation, just like you did for today's session. We also have some archived webinars that that are available to you. Again, if you weren't available to attend the mass training session, that particular session was recorded and is available for you here, and also one of the Prospecting Client Gateway webinars from last week is also there for you to watch at your own leisure. Plus, some other additional training materials and tutorials are available to you watching on your PC or on your Mac, and then we also have some printed documentation that you can download if you want to. So a lot of good information available under pikespeakrsc.com. Click on Conversion Headquarters and get all the knowledge you need to know moving forward for the conversion to the Tempo 5 MLS system. CMA Day today. Well, let's talk CMA. First of all, what I want to just bring to the head of the table here is that our CMA session today is going to talk about how to build a CMA using the tools that are in the Tempo 5 system. We're not going to talk about how to search for your comparable properties, because that's very subjective for each and every CMA that you do. So we're going to use just a standard set of criteria today, do some hypothetical situations here as far as our comps. Then we're going to take those comps and we're going to load them into the program and show you how to build a very customizable presentation that you can share with your clients. So first of all, there are two different ways to start a CMA in the Tempo 5 system. One way is new to you from the Tempo 4 system, and that's not the way that I want you to use it. So, we're going to kind of show it to you in case you stumble in upon it, but we're not going to actually use that. And that way is found under the Reports area, and that's where you're going to find two things that pertain to your CMA. One is your CMA Manager. That's where all of your CMAs are going to be stored after you can make them in the Tempo 5 system. So that's where they're going to live. That's where your CMAs can be found if you want to, reopen them and edit them or reprint them or re-email them or whatever you need to do. That's where they're going to be housed. Now, keep in mind that any CMAs that are currently in the Tempo 4 system, the system that you currently use, will not convert over to the Tempo 5 system. So this is only for CMAs that are created in Tempo 5 going forward. Again, any existing CMAs in Tempo 4 will not come over into the Tempo 5 system. There are just too big of a difference between the way that they're done. There's just no way to make them compatible. So if you got any in Tempo 4 now and you want to save them after the conversion, probably a good idea to go ahead and print them out as soon as possible. The second option is the link that says New CMA. That's what you might stumble upon, and that's where I really don't want you to click, because you can start a CMA from there, don't get me wrong, but the fact of the matter is if you start it from there, one of the steps in the CMA is actually adding your comparable properties in, and that kind of falls in the middle of the whole program. So here's my train of thought. Get the hardest thing done first, and the hardest thing is searching for your comparable properties, and then integrate them into your CMA. Don't be in the middle of your CMA and then have to do the hardest thing. So you'll see that in just a little bit. So just kind of remember, New CMA is not really the place to go to start your CMA, even though it seems like that's where you should start. So we're going to start from our search, and that's the way that you do it in the Tempo 4 system anyway. You go to your search, and you search for your comparable properties. Basically, you're looking for your like-minded properties similar to your subject property. If we're doing a seller CMA, we're trying to find properties that a buyer would like, that would be similar to the subject property that you're working with. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the hard stuff out of the way first. Now, remember what I said, we're not here to talk about the semantics of how to search for comparable properties. We're going to have some test cases in here because, again, everyone is a little bit different. So I have created one already just to save some time today, which is a search that I put together, which is looking for residential properties between a certain square footage range with 4 bedrooms and 2 total baths that are single family, and properties that have sold or closed within the past 6 months. And the statuses I'm using today are the active properties, the sold properties, and a couple of additional statuses that you have. Now, you may do a CMA search totally different than this. You may include expired properties, you may include canceled properties, you may include, temporary withdrawn. That's fine. Use whatever magic that you normally use to get your CMAs. Again, continue with that process as you normally do. Again, everybody's got a little bit way of different doing it. As long as you get good quality comps, that's the whole key. The only little shortcut I'm going to show you on this page is when you're using your solds and you're going back on your sold dates, we do have a quick little option for you here, and it's called a quick pick date, and it's available from the operator. Here you can go back, if you want to go back 6 months in time, instead of typing in the date, just simply go and choose 6 months, and it'll take you back 6 months in the past. If you're going back 3 months, you can use 90 days back, and notice it goes from 12/22 to 3/22, which is the current date of this particular webinar. So that'll save you some time, at least for plugging the dates in from here. So this is my hypothetical CMA search today. Now, when I've done this, I came up with 14 results. And remember, we now have the count button over there, that when you click the count button, it's going to tell you how many properties you're going to get based on the criteria that you've entered on the right-hand side of the screen. So I've got my 14 properties. I'm happy with that. I'm now going to get my search results, and my results can be made available by clicking on the tab across the top of the screen that says Search Results. Right now I'm in my criteria. I want to go to my results. So the system is going to respond back, and it's going to give me my 14 search results as it told me there would be. Now, one thing I like to do is in Tempo 5, I now have some sorting capability. So I like to kind of sort these by status, and the way that I can do that is to click on the column header, and the header is the gray bar. In this case, it says status. When I click on status, it's going to sort these in a particular order. In this case, it's going to go from A's to the U's. Now, if I want to, sort that in a different order, I can sort it that way. My goal here is to kind of group everything so I can see where the closed or sold properties are together, and then the active properties and so on from there. At this point, I would then take a close look at all of these candidates that I would be using for my CMA. Remember, I just did a search and said, okay, hey, this is what's out there. Now I really need to make sure these are the apples-to-apples properties that I want to use. And the way that you can do that very quickly is to go to one of the properties that you want and just click on the line. Now, don't click on the underlined address because that'll take you to a map. Don't click on the MLS number because that will take you to the property detail page. So just click on a blank space on one of the lines, and that opens up kind of a little brief view, if you will. That will show me the picture of the listing, and it'll give me some basic information that I can use to work with to help me refine my selection for my comparable properties. So if that's one that you want to use, you can of course select it, click again, close it out. If you want to see the next one, you can do that, and you can do that fairly quickly to kind of give you an idea of what's, again, a valid candidate and what's not. You also, of course, have the option of simply hovering over the camera if just a visual look can give you a better idea of whether or not you're going to use it in your comps. Again, the camera is just a matter of just hovering over it. And also note that you have your little eye bubble, whereas you hover over this eye bubble that you see to the left of the camera, and there are different shortcuts there that let you get into more information. You can go directly to the property report from here. You can also click on the little clock that's got a back arrow. That'll take you to the property history. All of the pictures are here. The mapping is there. So you've got some additional information that you can get to by selecting that little bubble and choosing the appropriate little bit of information that you want. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to select a couple of these today just because for time constraints today, we're going to assume that we just went through and took a more detailed look at these and picked out the ones that we were going to use for our CMA. Now, another thing that I like to do is I like to clean up the properties that I'm not looking at, and I can do that by filtering out the ones that I've selected versus the ones that I haven't selected. And the way I can do that very easily is after I've selected them, across the top header here above the columns, I can show display, and I can say display the selected properties. And that will remove the ones that I did not pick in my list. Again, it just kind of cleans up stuff that maybe you're not using, and you can focus on what you're going to be using a lot better. Now, if you make a mistake there, you can always go back to all again, or you can invert that selection and show me the ones that I didn't pick if you want to. So again, I'm choosing the ones that I selected in this particular instance.